From an undisclosed location, for reasons of security and insecurity, we present to you tonight MnRTV live show. And tonight we're going to have a special guest, Rob Macgregor, Aliens in the Backyard. We're going to be talking about his new book, Bumping the Night. We're going to be talking about aliens, ghosts, UFOs, alien abduction, and much more. And that's going to be 8:15 tonight. But without further ado, I present to you the one and only, the one, the MnR man, himself only, the one and only, the coffee man, Mario, the madman. How's it going, buddy?
I'm always excited. You know, every week I have to remind yourself and myself that it's great to be here. There's nowhere else I'd rather be than here, listening and watching the show and talking about the show and talking about whatever is going on out there.
Exactly, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the world today. You know, I'm sure before we get to everything, I'm sure you heard about what happened with Cuba and the U.S.
Yeah, but I mean, what is that like the signs that there's going to be world peace? Is that where it begins? I don't know what it means.
No, there won't be world peace. It's just more propaganda. But before any further ado, this show has been brought to you by the Montreal Anti-Illuminati Task Force.
Yes. So.
And are you excited to get Rob Macgregor on?
Rob, whenever we talk aliens, I'm always excited.
But alien, ghosts, UFOs, alien abduction, synchronicity, and a lot more.
But that is only going to take place in around half an hour-ish. So now if it's 7:30 here, I don't know where it is around the world because I can't tell time around the world.
Yeah, it's in not half an hour, 43 minutes actually, now 42 minutes, 8:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you know what I mean, I'm just saying for viewers so they don't get mixed up. But now let's get started with the show.
Yes.
All right, do what you gotta do.
So this is me. You'll see me now, and you'll see me at the end of the show if you want to see me again. But you'll hear me talking, and then when the guest comes on, I'm going to be paying attention and taking questions. But this is me. This is who I am. And now I'm going to be flipping over to show what you want to know, what you want to see.
So go ahead without further ado.
All right. So right here she is. Let me see.
Right there. Okay, this is...
Okay, so now we're going to start with the blog, right?
Yeah, go ahead and talk about the blog.
So this is it. This is our beautiful, wonderful blog. If you don't see this right here, all you have to do is just click refresh, hit this button, and you'll see us live. And when it gets recorded, you'll still see it because the video is always going to appear there. And on the side, there's our... past shows and when we began, and right underneath there's wonderful Chatango, you know, where all the action is going. And last week we had problems with it. We're not going to talk much about it, but we shall say that apparently it got hacked or something, because on Sunday
yeah, exactly, got hacked last weekend, and a lot of problems with it. I'm just glad that it's back because we love Chatango, and bad hackers that did this.
Very bad, and they know it because we use it on our show, because you know everybody tries and stop our show because we're onto something, but it's okay. And this is our guest book we're going to be getting, and now we'll talk about the pictures, which is only a little segment. We'll just show you the hot pictures of the week.
The U.S. government owns a patent on cannabis while saying it has no medical value. This guy looks pretty happy.
Now I wonder why they have a why they have a patent on cannabis when that belongs to nature, belongs to God.
Well, they also have a patent on Ebola, as you know. So they have a patent to everything. I'm telling you, it's the modern day Babylon. I'm telling you, it's just wicked what they're doing.
And then of course, let's not forget, they also have patents on vaccines. And I've noticed something about vaccine, Rob. Vac. Does that have anything to do with it? Vac. What's a vac? Vac in Italian is cow.
Yeah, Don't forget, in
vaccines come from? Hold on, Rob. Does vaccines come from cows? The blood of cows, and they're putting blood of cows in us?
Because we got information recently that they do put in the vaccines. They do put animal parts in the vaccines.
Animal blood.
Animal blood and probably parts also. Who knows?
But that's what we talked about. But anyhow, this next picture.
Look at this. Sports are stupid. Distract the masses. And here we have all the ex-presidents. Well, we have about 3 ex-presidents, and we have here the man at the Yankees. And who's the other one?
I don't know. Maybe someone could leave comment. I don't know who that person is. Is it Dick Cheney or?
Look what he puts on his shirt.
Yeah, don't say, Rob, don't say the name because we don't want kids hearing it, because kids repeat all what they hear.
This is a kid's show after all. But then again, yeah. So, but the man that gets to me the most in the middle, the Yankees, the evil Henry Kissinger, CEO of the NWO, the New World Order.
Well, we could say, Rob, that that's the puppet master, and the rest are puppets that you see around him, right?
Oh yeah. Look at George Bush. Look at that weird pose he's doing, eh?
Yeah, that's how he throws the ball. I don't know. I guess baseball's not made for the guy.
No. It looks very, very strange. It doesn't look manly the way he's doing it.
Okay. So the next one, this we seen last week on last week's show, but that's because I posted on Wednesday. So now it's only fair that we bring it up again.
There are 225 million Americans aged 18 and older. 56%. 126 million believe UFOs are real. 80%. 180 million believe government is hiding the truth. 14%. 31 million have had or known someone who had a close encounter of the first, second, or third kind. America is ripe for a huge deception, and believe me, that's like one of the biggest hidden secrets the U.S. government is withholding. Aliens.
So this fits in right with our guest when he comes in, Mr. Macgregor, and he will talk about this, I'm sure, because he knows about,
He's written many books. I think he's written 22 books.
So that's interesting.
Some are novels, some are fiction, and some are real. Yes. This I think I found this, right?
Yes, you found it, and I'm posting it on this.
Describes it in one word. One word. I could say many words. I'll just say Illuminati. Some people say Rothschild. Some people will say NWO. Some people will say puppet, bankers.
Police state.
Slavery, Rothschild. Fakers. Yeah.
Anyways, I know you found this picture. I said I might as well post it up. Of course, you can find these pictures on both Conspiracy Talks that I'm going to be posting one of, which is the one of Facebook, of course, but not the one of Google+. Now, this one's kind of funny.
This one's, yeah.
Because you look around the corner, right?
Yes. Breaking news. Santa captured by ISIS. ISIS spokesperson. Merry Christmas, you infidels. And there was actually some people that actually thought that this was true.
Wow. I mean, then again, it's all fake. Everything's a lie. So why not? And who the hell is Santa Claus? But
well, that's like another debate, another story.
Speaking of Santa Claus, look at this one. Haven't you not noticed Santa, Satan?
Yeah, Satan to Santa. There it goes. It ties into the next one, and it just talks about. I'm not going to read it, but people can read it. The connection between from Satan to Santa.
And notice something. There's the same letters.
S-A-T. I know.
S-A-T-N. That appears.
Yeah, S-A-T-S-A-N-T-A-S-A-T-A-N. Yeah, exactly.
Just take the N and put at the end of Santa. Yeah. Anyways, I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, wow.
The N, yeah, the N and the T, just move it around and you get Satan to Santa.
But yeah. Anyways, we know what Christmas is all about,
We did a show last year about Saturnalia. Last year's last show, we did a show about that.
Yeah, if people want to know more about it. In fact, we'll be posting it up around Christmas or just before Christmas. We shall be posting it up. And okay, and the next thing is our wonderful conspiracy talk group. And this
Very, very fastest rising web group on conspiracies on Facebook. Go ahead.
and we also have one going on on Google
Google
Plus.
And it's really that one too is expect to make headways.
And there's people talking on it, and people are discussing. But that's what it is. Don't forget, it's called conspiracy talk. What's the last word on there? Talk. That's why, that's why we made this group, so we can talk. It's not about arguing amongst one another. It's not about hatred. It's about talking, because when you get to talk, it's communicating, and communicating is very important, right? So here you have this week's show, and in the future they'll always be posted up here. Always, that's where it is. If ever you want to see it, just click on there, and it brings you to our wonderful blog that we had prior to this, and people just love. I love this thing. This is very nice. But anyhow, we won't get into it too much. I mean, just be nice whoever comes in. Make sure we always screen to make sure that you're not a spammer or scammer, because if we do, we won't let you in. And we know who's a scammer and who's a spammer, right, Rob?
Yeah, we sure do. Of course we do. And if someone gets by, well, then you're gone.
And before we commence also the show, we got to remind you that everything is in the description. All the links that are posted will appear in the description. And do leave comments anywhere. We want to hear from you. Be civilized, be human being, because after all, we are all humans, and we all want to know this. We're not aliens. We're not extraterrestrials or anything. No, I'm sure, Rob. I'm sure. So shall we commence?
Go ahead.
All right. So now I found this from the Bible. Let's just start this from the Bible. I know a lot of people get turned off when we start the Bible, but I always want to bring this up. Now, don't get carried away. It's just like, it happened in the past, and history does repeat itself. I don't know if you see it here.
I see just, yeah, but I don't see the main title of it.
Well, it's not. If you want to know where it is, it's Joshua 10:12. It's
okay.
You see it?
Yeah, I see it. And you want to speak about the 12th verse?
Yeah, the 12th.
Then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon.
And the next one, 13.
And the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people have avenged themselves upon their enemies. It is not written in the book of Jasher. So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go there a whole day.
Did you see that? The world stood still.
So that means the earth stood still for one day.
Yes. Now, is that going to happen, like you're hearing that the world's going to stand still for 3 days?
And 3 days of darkness? What's not going to happen the 3 days of darkness in December? And actually, this coming week, some people actually believe, because there's some disinfo on the internet that's saying we're going to have 3 days of darkness just before Christmas. And that's completely false. It's not going to happen then, but it will happen. It does say, it is prophesied, but it won't happen.
Anyways, I had to bring that up because history does repeat itself, and Amorites, of course, are giants, but we won't talk about giants. But a lot of people say, "Well, this has nothing to do with conspiracy." Sure, it does. Amorites are giants; they will return, but not as giants. But you'll see that in our past shows. We always talk about that. Just to say that the earth has stood still, and everything around it. That's the point of this.
He always repeats himself one way or another. But the show's not about the giants right now. The giants, the Nephilim, the fallen ones. It's not about that tonight. But yeah. So
that's where it could be found in Joshua, and it also another thing I like about this is it talks about the book of Jasher.
Yes, because we've read the book of Enoch.
Well, yeah, it's very interesting, very, very good read. But anyhow, that's it for that.
It is. It's very, very interesting. A lot of information. Everybody should read the Book of Enoch.
and Jazzer, but I can't seem to find the book of
I didn't try to answer just yet. On January 1st, 2015.
Hold on, Rob. Hold on. Okay.
Sorry about that. I get carried away when I see this. Facebook will drop a bombshell that will straight up infuriate you. Find out now before it's too late, and that's by a good friend, the one and the only Lisa Haven, who's been a past guest, personal friend of ours, right, Mario?
You see that? Yeah, she came on our show like I kept saying, and I'll say it always. All our guests are always important. Whoever shows up on their show, we always think about you. We all think you're great, and keep up the great work. Now, I'm bringing this up because why? Because January is just around the corner. Hope this isn't real.
Major news is about to be released from the infamous privacy-stealing company known as Facebook. All users will be asked around January 1st, 2015 to accept the new terms. But just what are these mysterious new terms being bloated by Facebook? How about the fact that they want to allow third parties like the CIA, FBI, and NSA, etc. to collect information? Not only from your Facebook page, but from your computer, your phone, and any other devices you access to Facebook's. Joe Biggs, InfoWars reporter, brings us the latest. So can you get it, folks? It's not just they want information from what you do on Facebook. They want information on your computer or your device, your tablet or your cell phone. They want all the phone numbers, if you're on a phone, everybody that you contact, all the apps that you download, everybody that you text. It's just unreal.
Yeah, but this doesn't surprise me, and I'm sure that it's being done right now as we speak. I don't know why we have to wait till January 1st. I'm probably sure that they signed their lives away, but I'm sure that it's already happening right now. I'm sure that they look at all what we're doing. I mean, I'm sure they're watching the show right now and laughing at us, but it's okay.
Of course they're laughing at us, of course, and you know what they want us, what they want to put us. They want to embed us in rock.
And this website saying to go on scene is.
Have you? I've signed up for it. Have you?
Yeah, I did, and I'm on the app, but I just don't understand it. It's like, what's the point of this when we already got Facebook, you know?
This is secure and everything. I don't have the app, but I have it on Facebook. But should I download the app? I don't know.
I have the app, but I don't know.
2 minutes, you know, but we'll see, you know. So, yeah, that's happening on Facebook in January 1st, 2015.
I just hope that it's wrong, but then again, you know,
but our associate Lisa Haven is not wrong. Her information is spot on all the time. So, you know. Anyhow,
the next one.
The satanic statue being made for Oklahoma State House is coming along nicely. Oh yeah, look at that statue.
Rob, were you aware of this?
Yeah, I was aware of it for a long time, of course. Were you?
I mean, you know, I have to bring it up for the show, and this came out December 12th.
I heard about this last year. Oh no, the beginning of this year, sorry. Doesn't that look like a boat?
I know, Rob, it was being made before. I know that they had one, but now they're making another one. Look, as you see it.
Baphomet. Looks like Baphomet right there. 2 weeks, there it is. 2 weeks ago, I found myself in the backwoods of rural Florida, standing in front of a bronze bust of the pagan idol Baphomet. A few days later, it would be attached to its 8.5-foot cloven hoof body and put to rest on a throne flanked on either side by a small metallic child. Eventually, its creators hope it will be whisked away to Oklahoma, where it will be placed next to the Ten Commandments monument on the front lawn of the state capitol. You know, isn't that sick?
Well, it's a mission for all our Florida viewers out there. You can go and check this, report it, take pictures, post it on the Conspiracy Talk. We want to see it. Now, people out there are saying, oh, but there's no such thing as Satan. Oh, no, Satan don't exist. Oh, no, what are you guys crazy? Satan doesn't exist. God doesn't exist. None of that doesn't exist. We're all living in a perfect world. Last time I checked, I have proof that they exist. Christ exists, God exists, Satan exists, all the demons, the devils, it's all true. We just have to wake up to it. I know it's nice to believe it doesn't exist, but the truth is we got to stay grounds.
And even in ancient mythology, Greek mythology, like the Centaur, the Minotaur, Medusa, all that existed in the past.
Well, you know what I say? I say this, okay? Look, right now there's air. Everybody on Earth is breathing thanks to air, but we don't see the air, but it's there. Well, it's the same
Right.
thing with God. Just because we don't see God doesn't mean He's not here,
We'll see him
right?
later. We'll see him later. One day.
But anyways, we don't want to get into religion because then that, like, that's kind of like a no-no because people don't want to hear about religion, right? But
That's
this is
right.
not religion. That's one thing people have to realize. God is not religion. Christ is not religion. It's what you do with it that makes it religious, But for me, I don't find that talking Christ is religious because it's the truth.
All right. Next one
The next one,
is okay. I just see you don't have to go down, I suppose.
there he is, our good buddy, Obama.
Video professor, emeritus at Johns Hopkins on CNN, U.S. like Nazi Germany. Wow, he actually said that?
Yeah, you see that? Compelling, isn't it? This is compelling.
Very compelling, yes. Carson considering run in 2016. Dr. Ben Carson, world-renowned surgeon and professor emeritus at Johns Hopkins, appeared on CNN's show Wolf Blitzer and gave the host an education on just how the U.S. is becoming exactly like Nazi Germany.
Now, all our American friends, don't get, how can I say it, offended, because we're just posting what we find. Don't shoot the messenger.
Carlson, that's right. Carlson is also a potential 2016 presidential candidate. According to the U.S., to an article titled Dr. Ben Carson, U.S. like Nazi and PCism stifling the debate by Susan Duclos described this event.
Man,
So
I'm
I'm sure
telling
that
you, Rob, these people from beforeitsnews.com, they're everywhere. I like this. Yes,
yeah,
what were you about to
oh,
say?
Susan Duclos on beforeitsnews.com, and it's not even a beforeitsnews.com website.
I know, that's what I'm saying. They're everywhere.
Exactly. So wow. So amazing, folks. And what it says, it's become more, and then goes on to point out that Blitzer's own reaction to the comparison is exactly what is wrong, and why the U.S. is indeed becoming the embodiment of everything the nation has fought against the past.
For the American people to wake up, they all have to wake
And
up.
I'm sure that Blitzer is a works for the elite,
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
enjoying it. Yeah.
Anyways,
He's a big promoter of them. He's one of them. So of course he's gonna cry wolf. No pun intended for Wolf Blitzer, but he's gonna say no, it's not true. How dare?
anyhow, we don't need to get into that. People get the drift of it, right?
That's right, exactly. Okay.
Hold on, Rob. I know you're excited, but I'm doing this for you so you could read it, I mean, Austin, what's the point? If you can't read it, nobody could read it. Okay, the next one.
That's right, for sure. Okay, right here. Russell Brand exposed Fabian Socialist Freemason NW Gatekeeper 33.
Now, people will say not to believe this guy. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it.
What do you mean you don't know what to say? Well, there's a lot of intel says that he's fake.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And right here, exactly. Russell Brand is currently courting the Rothschilds, Goldsmith family agenda and relative. He has been put in place to control and brainwash the youth into believing the rich do care. Absolutely an excellent report by Jeff C. of Free Radio Revolution on the branding of Russell Brand and what Brand's truly stands for. Read more here. Russell Brand, the voice of alternative media, Rothschild agent, setting the agenda for the new age of Jesus. Russell Brand.
I don't know.
Look, it says, the third you must do as thou will. And isn't that what Aleister Crowley always says, do as thou will?
Oh yeah, but
That
that's one of the commandments of Satan. Now,
yeah, that evil Satan is that evil filth who opened up a portal back in 1918.
but we did a show on him, so people can go and look at that too.
Yeah, we did that on Aleister Crowley back earlier this year, I believe.
So in other words, Russell Brandy came out. Everybody thought he was serious. He was like a sure thing, but he's not.
He's
He's really,
chill.
yeah. So there you go.
He's just working for the Rothschild family banking cartel.
No, nobody is honest anymore, right? Nobody.
Well, it's hard, you know.
Now, then this next thing is very compelling, Rob. I don't know if you've seen this or heard about it.
No, I have a bracelet that turns your arm into a touchscreen. Server project emails, videos, and game onto skin. Wow, concept server bracelet is designed to replace a smartphone or tablet. Using a projector, it could project a screen on the forearm. An array of 8 sensors will allow a wearer to manipulate the screen. Bracelets could be used to watch films, write emails, and make phone calls. Prototypes due to be unveiled, and bracelet could hit shop shelves in June. Its cost is it's likely to cost 300
pounds.
Whatever.
Pounds.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, pounds come in 2 sizes and a choice of 10 colors. Well, you know what I'm going to be getting in June.
No, but wait, Rob. I'm only going to get this if I could watch the MnRTV live show on it, and if I could do an MnRTV live show on it.
Yeah, but your arm's going to hurt. If you're like this on your arm, it's going to hurt, you know? Like, you know, just think of it. You're always tapping your arm. But I don't know. But look at it right there.
There. Who would get this? I'd get it to do an MNR show TV live outside.
Yeah, as long as you have to keep your arm up like that the whole time.
Look, Rob, you see it?
I know. I do see it.
Even a cool video that goes on it. The braces also contains a USB.
This, I think, is a precursor to some kind of mark of the beast.
Who knows? Look! You see, that's where there's a USB. Look, you could even use it in a shower, like you used to do. You always used to take baths with it in showers with your phone. Well, now look, you could put on your bracelet.
Since the time I got water on it back that was years and years ago, and the phone stopped working. Now when I go take my shower, I leave the phone. I just leave it. I just don't care for it, you know.
Look at what it takes. Wow.
For its Wi-Fi component, LED, micro USB, vibrator, processor, memory card, accelerometer, the battery, LED. Boy, this looks good. Not something I'd get though. I was only kidding about that. I don't want anything on my skin.
You see that? It looks pretty intriguing. Where the future now people are wondering, what does this have to do with conspiracy? Because
it has a lot to do with it.
It's a gadget that people will want to have. That's the point of this. People want to have the latest technology.
Either it's going to be the next big thing, or it's going to be like Google Glasses. That didn't make such a big thing. It didn't make such a big thing. This could be the next. This could be the next big thing or the next flop. Time will tell.
Yeah, well, only time will tell.
I heard about this.
What?
This will be here with you. This plane will be able to fly anywhere in the world in 4 hours.
Now you know why I'm putting this, because 4 hours is nothing. People want to use a portal to go. You know, what's a 4 hours? Now they got rid of the Concorde for this. You see, I was wondering, why did they scrap the Concorde? Nothing will replace it. And you know what this is? This looks like it's alien reverse technology. That's what it is. That's what they're working in Area 51.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. British Air Force firm reaction engines has been working on an aircraft it believes would be able to take passengers anywhere in the world in just 4 hours. If that doesn't sound utterly awesome enough, how about this? The vehicle would be able to fly in outer space. Did you hear that, folks? It's going to fly in outer space also.
You realize, Rob, we can go to Florida with this thing in a couple of hours. You can be in Florida.
Oh, I realize it.
And we'll go and see the Baphomet statue, and we'll put an end to it. But you see, what
Yeah.
technology is this is crazy. I mean, what the hell? You know, if we would have told people 300 years ago, or even 70 years ago, they would have like, what kind of drugs are you on? Stay off the acid. But here we're not
Yeah.
on acid. We're showing you what's really going on out there.
Yeah. And the company comes from Skylon, just like Steve Janis from Bank Again and pointed out in the chat room.
Yeah, maybe we'll go see Steve with this plane one day.
And then we'll go see Mr. Miller if we get this plane. That would be good, though.
We'll pick him up. There you go. We'll pick him up and we'll go right there. That would be.
And we'll do all four of us. We'll do a live we'll do a live hangout show from the sky.
No, that would be so cool, man. Now then, the next thing, and well, I don't know why the hell we had to bring this up, but
this is from the news. This was on CJD this morning.
I know, I heard about it, of course.
I thought it was in Montreal, but it's not. I mean, in Canada, whatever, North America. McDonald's is running out of French fries in Japan.
So there you go. You know what we'll do? Here in Canada, we have a lot of potatoes. We'll send them out to Japan, and they'll give us what? Radiation.
Yeah, they could give us Fukushima radiation.
They have so much down there, those poor people. That notice, nobody's talking about it. But you have to come on our show so that we talk about it.
Exactly. Already reeling from my butter shortage in Japan. It's now being buffeted by another food crisis. McDonald's is running out of French fries and will start rationing the crispy delicacies. There's no supersizing here. From Wednesday, customers will be able to buy only small pack of fries with their orders, which in Japan includes crab, croquette, burgers, and guraku, a patty that includes shrimp and mac and cheese. The reasons for the shortage: labor disputes at U.S. West Coast ports are holding up shipments. As a result, only 55% of the monthly average volume of French fries is likely to be imported to Japan in December. Pretty steep stuff, but I'm sure you'd freak out if they said that there's a shortage of coffee, right, Mario?
Rob, what are you trying to do? Rob, what are you trying to do? Kill me? You know I can't live without these guys' coffee.
I know you have that every day. You're always drinking coffee. Every time I see this man live or on the show, he always has a cup of coffee with him, and he's extremely nervous all the time.
No, anyway, I think we're going to have to turn this off and go somewhere else because we don't want to get people too hungry over McDonald's. You know how McDonald's is, eh? You eat it once, and then you have to go back for more.
It's like Kentucky KFC. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah, definitely. It's the same concept. They put something in there so that it's like a drug where people have to have it. Now speaking of economical, right? Because people have to have economical. How do you say it? I don't know how you say it.
Economical.
The next one, Rob. I don't know if you could see it.
How the U.S. can substantially become the world's top economy again. China has overtaken the U.S. as the world's top economy, but in taking a few examples from China as well as investing in jobs that stay in America and taking steps to ensure economy stability for the majority of American workers, the U.S. can come out on top again, and we can do it without having to decimate working people in the environment. Much of the growth in China has experienced is through Chinese urban centers becoming more connected than ever due to China's investments in high-speed rail. Since 2008, China has built 6,800 miles of tracks from the HSR systems, allowing, for examples, the 820 million distance between Shanghai and Beijing, roughly the same distance as roughly Chicago and New York City, to be covered in just 5 hours for less than the cost of a plane.
Well, why do that when there's a plane that will take us around the world in 4 hours? But this article, the reason why I'm putting this up is because you know why? It's positive. Now, if they're going to let this go through, which they will not let it go through because it's too good for the people. They don't want the people to be happy. They just want to give them money, and that's how it will make people happy. I don't know. It's, you know, for you people to wake up out there and to say, these guys are onto something. The listeners, the viewers, you know, around the world, wherever you may be.
Because this is a worldwide transmission, worldwide, from an undisclosed location for reasons of security and insecurity, and we're worldwide, so we want to get this show and all this information out everywhere. People, do not be afraid to share this video once it's up on YouTube. And here again, they're talking about McDonald's and Walmart.
Yeah, well, you know. And there's one thing, McDonald's is having financial problems. I don't know if I brought that up. Now, that's not a good sign because as soon as McDonald's has financial problems, it means the economy is going down because...
And don't forget, gas is extremely cheap right now in Montreal.
And with the taxes, imagine if there would be no taxes here in Montreal on gas. Oh, man, I'd be getting it for free. I'd run out and get myself a Cadillac, you know?
The last time the gas was so cheap was in 2008 before the bubble burst in 2008 in the States. But I think that this time it would be worse. It would be an Armageddon that would happen of money, you know, if the economy collapses.
Anyways, let's just hope it doesn't collapse. We don't want that to collapse. I mean, it's not as bad as people think it is, but
right,
worse. Hold on. Okay, now I hate these websites that are like this. Now we're going to end, because as soon we're going to call Trish, we're going to end it on aliens, UFOs.
Before we get our guest, Rob Macgregor. Mysterious red laser near ISS triggers UFO rumors. Nope, says NASA.
So in other words, yes, go on, Rob.
ISS, almost like ISIS, eh?
Yeah, but let me just say something. Nope, says NASA. You know what this means? Yes.
Yes.
Because NASA's a big liar. You can't believe them.
But look what it says beside it. Canadians go up. Canadian store sells iPads and iPhones for pennies. I'd like to go there and see what this is.
And then look what's right next to it.
What?
Commercials. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, and then if you don't speak Spanish, here's why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and look at this, Rob. Look at the picture.
A mysterious red laser beam was spotted near the International Space Station (SS), sparking off rumors of a UFO sightings. However, NASA has rejected the claims and reveals that the light was created by a new laser communication system.
Could it be HARP?
It could be not HARP, Project Bluebeam.
Yeah.
Blue. Yeah. It could be Bluebeam, and that's not something. And that's like Bluebeam. It's all smoke and mirrors and lights and light shows, and it's all like a hologram.
Or it could also be a portal.
Yeah.
You know, and they're willing to come and visit us, which wouldn't be a good idea if they come and visit us.
Exactly. Oh, for sure. But yeah, so it's either Bluebeam or it's a portal, like you said. But there's a lot of mysteries.
You know, we'll get the answers one day why this is happening. I don't know if there's anything interesting in what I'm going down with over here.
No, I think we should get Trish on.
Get Trish, call up Trish.
Yeah. Before we get our guest, Rob Macgregor, who has written many books, he's been on Coast to Coast, and he's going to be on our show, and we've got him tonight, and we are glad to have him come on our show in a couple of minutes.
It's very exciting.
Exactly.
Very, very exciting. All right, so here she is. Here's.
I'll be right back.
Don't go anywhere. Stay here. Stay close.
In the early morning hours of March 28, 2011, Charles and Helene Fontaine experienced something that shattered their beliefs about the nature of reality. One evening in 1981, Connie J. Cannon was on I-75 with her young son. en route to their new home in Florida, when they suddenly found themselves on a military base, with a man in uniform holding a gun to her head as three greys stood nearby. In 1979, Diane Fine was on her way from upstate New York to Vermont to see an obstetric specialist for her high-risk pregnancy, and experienced 2 hours of missing time. When she was finally examined at the clinic, she was told WASN. T pregnant. In 1970, pilot Bruce Gernon was chased by something through the Bermuda Triangle, and he has been talking about it ever since to UFO hunters, the Discovery Channel, National Geographic, the History Channel, the Sci-Fi Channel, and all their foreign counterparts. None of these individuals have ever met, but they share something significant. In 2003, a Roper Organization survey revealed that 33 million Americans may be abductees. Aliens in the Backyard is their story. The book is available from Crossroad Press today, February 4th, 2013, and an excerpt is available on our blog.
Yes, well, thank you very much, Trish. I mean, you're the greatest, right? I mean, what could we be or do without you? Always entertaining to hear. Robert, are you back?
I haven't gone anywhere. I'm still here.
Oh, you're there. Great, great,
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I am. And in a couple of minutes, we're going to get Rob Macgregor on our show, and he's going to be talking about aliens, ghosts, UFOs, alien abduction, and synchronicity, Bermuda Triangles, and a lot more. You know, we're going to have a very, very interesting guest coming on the show.
And feel free to ask questions, right? Because those questions do mean a lot to us. Because it's always nice to hear what you have to say and your take, you know. And you can also join us here on Chatango, like I'm showing right now. I'm showing off. It's good to say that we like to show off, right? Chatango.
Yes, it is. It is. We love it. We're talking about that they want to reset the global markets. So they want to reset the economy, the world debt.
And then let me guess, people are turning to aliens for the answer?
No, I'm just saying, me and Steve were just talking about the economy, that they want to collapse and everything, and if they ever reset the global markets, like what I'm thinking, what I've heard the information is that once everybody's in debt, they're gonna say we're gonna cancel all your debt and everything. And what's gonna happen is that we will do it. You won't owe us anything except you have to take a mark or something. And it leads to the mark of the beast or something along the line.
But I'm predicting that there's a long way to go before that happens. We're going to be seeing a lot more aliens, right?
Well, yeah, something like that. But you know, we can't always be talking about the word aliens because it turns off people.
It does.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Not. I'm talking about.
Okay, Rob. What I meant is it's lies. A lot of lies are going to happen before all of that.
Yeah. Not a word, because if we talk to non-people, you're going to be seeing a lot of aliens. Going to be saying, "What the heck? What aliens? What are you talking about?" You know.
Extraterrestrials.
Or deceptions, a lot of mysteries in the skies. That's the way I say to new people that I talk to about this. Because if I say you're seeing a lot of aliens, they're going to be saying, "What the heck?" You know. They're going to be seeing like kind of a Star Wars type thing. And speaking of Star Wars, I don't know about the movie. I hope it's going to be good, because I'm a Star Wars fan. It's coming out next year.
So what's Terminator?
What is it? Another Terminator?
Yes, it's called Genesis. It looks very good.
Oh man, I don't know about these movies. If the 80s that were amazing, and then they come back and they're not as good. Like the Rambo they made a Rocky. It's alright, but it's never the same, you know.
Rob, these are classics. But anyways, we're not going to talk entertainment on the show. But the point is that all these movies, there's always something about them that we can relate to, you know, that they're working on machines as we speak. And that's why in the past shows I've always been bringing up, we've been bringing up robots, because they're working on that. We can't forget that, even though we're talking about extraterrestrials in the backyard and ghosts and this and that, but there's a lot of things that we're not
Exactly.
You know, there's stuff happening out there. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Exactly, for sure. So, all right. So I'm gonna try and get our guest on, Rob Macgregor, and I'll try and get him on right now. No. How does this work? This new Skype called Skype. Okay.
Yeah, I know. It keeps changing on us, eh?
Yep, it sure does.
Just when we get used to it,
I know.
it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Rob.
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Rob Macgregor. Welcome to the MnRTV show.
Thank you.
How are you? How are you doing? It's great.
I'm good. Doing good.
It's great to have you here. So our viewers are very excited to have you here. So are you able to tell us a bit about yourself and your wife Trish?
Sure.
All right.
Are we ready to go?
Oh, we're ready. We're live.
Okay. Yes. Well, what can I say? Trish and I have written over 90 books, both fiction and nonfiction. We've I guess I'm best known for, we both won the Edgar Allan Poe Award for mystery writing. I guess I'm best known in fiction writing for writing 7 Indiana Jones novels, including the Indiana Jones: The Last Crusade. And we both, Trish and I both like to explore unknown dimensions and UFOs, psychic phenomena, and various other subjects, tarot, astrology, yoga, meditation, etc.
Oh wow! So how did you get to write all these books? Like, how did it all begin for you?
Well, let's see. It began back in the reason we've written so many books is we've lived a long time.
Oh, okay. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, we started in about the mid-'80s, and I was working as a newspaper reporter. I worked about 10 years as a journalist, a number of different newspapers, and I was working in South Florida. Hollywood Sun-Tatler was the name of the daily newspaper there, and I got an assignment to interview, to look into what was going on with the Cuban refugees who were coming over from the Mario boat lift. This was like 3 years after the Mario boat lift, and were they learning English? Were they merging into the American culture, or were they remaining in the Cuban culture in Miami? And one of the persons I interviewed turned out to be my future wife, Trish, who's a native of Venezuela and was teaching English as a second language to Cuban refugees. And so I ended up interviewing her, and we were just kind of having casual conversation afterwards, and it turned out that she and I had both an interest in specific books that were they were the Seth books, written by Jane Roberts, and I was reading all these books, and I didn't know anyone else who had any interest in this channeled information, and she was doing the same thing, and she didn't know anyone else either. So we kind of hit it off. We had some common interest, and we both wanted to get out of our jobs and work full-time as freelance writers, and so that's what we did. We saved up some money, quit our jobs, and started freelance writing. So it was challenging. After like 4 months, we were out of money and both took part-time jobs. And we hooked up with Omni magazine, which was a science magazine, but had an interest in psychic phenomena and UFOs. It had some red pages in the center of the magazine called Antimatter. And we got regular assignments from one of the editors, and so we started exploring different psychic matters and UFOs, and met Hopkins, Betty Hill, and had some interesting experiences during mid to late 80s. And meanwhile, we were also writing our novels and starting to sell them. So that's how we got started.
So you actually met Betty Hill?
Oh yeah, yeah. We brought her to our house.
Oh my gosh! What?
She was kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. She was like one of the first ones abducted like in modern times.
Right, right. And you know, she, you know, we went outside and she was looking at the sky, and you know, she was seeing things that, you know, we said, what, you know, she said, what is that? And I thought, well, I think it's an airplane. And you know, she said, maybe, maybe not. And so she all her life after that experience, she continued very much in the UFO field, and you know, became somewhat of a celebrity in the UFO field. Everybody who has any knowledge at all about UFOs and alien abductions knows about the Betty and Barney Hill story.
Oh yeah, exactly, for sure. I knew about that since like many years, and you actually got to meet her. Wow, that's wonderful that you got to actually meet her, and she told you all about it. And it's not, and definitely it's not someone making up stories, you know, or imagining it.
No, she had a very unusual experience, and it wasn't like she was copying anybody, because nobody had ever had that experience before. It had never been reported, at least.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So how did you get like into? Can you tell us exactly what is synchronicity? The 7 secrets of synchronicity.
Okay, synchronicity is about basically meaningful coincidence, and this is an area that Trish and I have explored. In fact, when we first met, we synchronicity basically is when inner and outer events come together that don't involve cause and effect, and they're meaningful to the person who experiences them. In other words, say I think of somebody I went to high school with, and the next morning I get an email from this person.
Yes, yes.
And that's synchronicity. It's inner experience and an outer experience coming together, and it's obviously meaningful to me for having that. But as I was starting to say, Trish and I, when we first met, one of the first things she said to me was, "Do you know what synchronicity is?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And so that was another kind of cue for us that we're on the right path, getting together, getting to know each other. And in fact, the first book we tried to write together was a book on synchronicity, but we just weren't prepared to do. We just didn't know enough about it. We just, you know, it was something we tried, put an outline and several chapters together, but it just wasn't going anywhere. We weren't ready to do it. And the same with UFOs. We've always had an interest in UFOs, and other than writing magazine articles like for Omni, we always wanted to write a book related to UFOs, but we never knew how to do it, really. And that was because it just seemed like there was a lot of books already out, and we didn't want to copy what everybody else was doing. So we finally came up with the hook of synchronicity and UFOs and alien encounters, and that came after 7 Secrets of Synchronicity. And Synchronicity on the Other Side was another one we wrote. So that is kind of how it came together to writing those books.
Okay, and what is exactly, how does it work, UFOs, encounters, and synchronicities? Like, is it if you think of an alien and of a UFO encounter, and then it happens?
Yeah, with people who have had encounters, abductions, encounters with UFOs and aliens, oftentimes have a lot of different psychic experiences and synchronicities happening in their life that come before, during, and after the event. I mean, just last week, Trish and I had one of these synchronicities related to a UFO sighting, actually. We went to Barnes & Noble to just kind of browse around looking for books for gifts, and I happened to see a book that I had never seen on UFOs before. It's called Extraplanetary Experiences, Alien-Human Contact and the Expansion of Consciousness. And I opened it and looked at the table of contents and showed her Trish and said, yeah, let's get this book. And so got the book, walked outside into the parking lot, and looked up, and there is a light in the sky right above us, moving around. Actually, it was hovering. It looked like about maybe 700-800 feet. And at first I thought, well, it's a helicopter. We listened because it had bright light coming out of it. And we listened, and there's no sound at all. And then it starts moving around, circling around, and darting about. And we're just standing there for probably 10 minutes or so, watching this object in the sky, and it came down as low as probably 300 feet or so, but we could never see what it was because it was just luminous. It just had this bright light it was shining out. And so Trish finally said she wanted to go to the drugstore, so we drove about a block away, and about a block away I let her off and went to the side and parked, and then I spotted it again, and this time it was just above the trees, about a quarter mile away from me. I could see it through the trees, and so I was waiting for her. I could see it the entire time. Then she came out and we drove away, and then we couldn't find it anymore. But so that was like a synchronicity related to a UFO experience. We had bought that book, and there it was. I mean, it's not like we go out every day and see UFOs, but
right. Could synchronicity also be something like I think of something, and then later on in the day it happens?
Right, exactly. That's or you think you say you think of an odd phrase for some reason, and then somebody repeats it on the radio or on television, and the very same thing that you were thinking, or that you had or maybe you had said to someone. That's very similar.
Okay.
And also in research, we encountered all the time in our research for books. We come across important things in unusual ways that sometimes will be maybe in a library or a bookstore. A book will fall off a shelf, and it'll be the actual thing that we need at that time, and things like that.
1111, is that synchronicity?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, that's one of the...
I see it all the time. I see that number all the time. Go ahead.
Yeah, number synchronicities are one of the most curious things, because some people just see them all the time, certain numbers, and they're meaningful. And for me, it's a time of the day, 4 a.m. And it's something that I see. I always wake up at 4 a.m. for some reason, look at the clock, exactly 4 a.m. And then I just happened to see this YouTube video the other day that was a TED Talk, and it was about 4 a.m. It was crazy. It was somebody who has the same exact stuff going on with 4 a.m. So it's all coming together.
What causes synchronicity? Is it some kind of higher intelligence, or it's something?
Well, it's like it's a connection from to a deeper part of ourselves, outside of the everyday world, outside of the our normal world of cause and effect, and that this whole layer of reality exists that is invisible to us, but it's where our true selves, our deeper selves exist, and synchronicity is like the touching point between the everyday world and this deeper world, and that's how I see it. And so when these synchronicities happen, it's just a reminder that the world existence is much larger than our everyday world.
Is it sort of like a different dimension?
Yeah, I guess you could definitely a different dimension. That it's exists right here, but invisible. You know, a deeper place where everything is interconnected. I mean, it seems normally that in our everyday world that things are not connected. That there's always things that are just I don't know how to put it, but in this deeper world, this underlying world, everything is connected. It's like in Hindu philosophy, it's called Indra's net, where one tug at this net ripples throughout the universe, and so everything is connected. Everything, every action is felt through every other action. So this whole idea of this underlying reality has existed for a long time.
Okay, I see. And have you ever encountered any UFOs? I mean, aliens per se?
I can't say that I've ever encountered an alien that I was aware that this individual was an alien. No, I've had some UFO experiences. As I said, when I was young, I had one where I was like 8, 9 years old, and I was outside in the street, and it was like 9 o'clock in the winter, so it was dark, and I was the only one out there, and I wasn't sure why I was out there by myself, and I was standing in the middle of the street looking up and seeing all of these lights, red, green, blue, yellow, and they were moving in different directions, circling around, cutting back and forth, and I just stared at those lights. I don't know what exactly happened there, but then I went back inside and told my parents about it, and the next day my father said, yeah, he heard reports on the radio that other people had also cited these unusual lights. Nobody knew what they were. So, you know, that was the first experience that I had. But Trish and I have now had 3 UFO experiences. Well, I've had 3 in the last about a year, and Trish was with me for 2 of them. The one I told you about in the parking lot, and then we had this is kind of another synchronicity. We'd gone out to dinner and met a couple of friends who live probably 40, 50 miles away. So we met halfway at a town called Jupiter, Jupiter, Florida, and we had dinner there. And then coming home from Jupiter, I noticed these lights in the sky, and at first they were red lights, and I first thought, well, I'm seeing them through the trees, and I'm thinking, well, there must be, maybe it's a radio tower or something. And then there's an opening, and I see it's not a radio tower at all, and I pull over into this empty lot, and there's a guy on a motorcycle, and he's seeing them too, and he's on the phone with his girlfriend. He says he's just totally astonished by what he's looking at, probably 9 or 10 of these bright red lights in the sky, and he's saying, we're listening to him, he's saying, honey, the world is never going to be the same again. It was just kind of funny, and we watched these lights for a while, and then one after another they blinked out, and then I saw the red lights again by myself. Trish had driven up to Orlando to see our daughter, and I was busy, and I was coming a couple days later to join them, and I had just left home, and I looked up. I was like a quarter mile from the house, and I saw red lights. I immediately pulled into this parking lot, a playground, and there were 2 of them this time, and it was the same sort of thing. They were probably 700 or 800 feet in the sky. I don't know what they were, and I watched for a few minutes, and then they each blinked out. And they're not Chinese lanterns, because I've seen those before. And those are a lot lower. They don't go that high, and they just drift around a couple hundred feet at the maximum. you know, you can tell what they are. So this is something else. I don't know what it was.
Speaking of what they are, what are these UFOs? What are they all about? Who are they?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, there's a lot of different theories about what they are. Some people feel it's a very nuts and bolts type of situation where they're coming from other planets in metallic ships to visit us over great distances, maybe moving through black holes or something. And other people see these beings as interdimensional, that they could exist like right here, but in another dimension, and they're able to move through dimensions to reach us. And some of them are seen in these crafts, and these crafts move in such a way that it seemed like it would be turns, 90-degree turns that are so abrupt that if a human was in the vessel, the person would not survive. And so it's the interdimensional aspect is something that I think is very feasible, and it's a possible explanation. Another book I wrote is called The Fog, and it's about the Bermuda Triangle.
Right, yes.
And I wrote it with a guy who's a pilot who had 2 experiences in the Bermuda Triangle. And he took off one afternoon from Andros Island, and he was flying. He and his father were going back and forth from West Palm Beach to Andros because they had plans for developing a resort on Andros Island, an American resort, and they were going through all the administrative stuff, the legal stuff, and getting approval and everything. So they would take a lot of trips, and on this one particular journey, they were coming back from Andros, and they were about 10 miles offshore when they saw what appeared to be a lenticular cloud, which is a lenticular cloud is one that looks very similar to a gigantic UFO. It's disc-shaped. The only thing is, lenticular clouds normally appear over 10,000 feet, often on tops of mountains they're seen. And you don't see them hovering about 500 feet or so, 600 feet above the ocean. So he was very cautious about this cloud, and he flew around it. It was about a mile across, he said. Flew around it and continued on. And then he looks back, and this cloud is chasing him. It's shooting out arms on either side, and it's traveling as fast as he is or faster, and these arms are catching up to him. And then as he keeps flying about 170 miles an hour, he comes upon another one, and it's doing the same thing, shooting out arms. So suddenly he finds himself in the center of a huge cloud donut, and he tries to fly over it. He goes up 10,000, more than 10,000 feet, and he can't. And he realizes that cloud is all the way up to like 60,000 feet. So he did just the opposite. He went down. He drove down and right down to the ocean level, and the cloud came right out of the ocean. And so he seemed to be trapped in inside this donut, which is about 20 or 25 miles across. So it wasn't real tight. I mean, there's enough room for flying around. And as they're flying, looking for some way out, they see where two of these arms are just coming together, and they're forming a tunnel. And they decide that looks like a way out. They can see blue sky on the other side. And so he flies towards this tunnel, and as he's getting closer and closer to it, it's getting smaller and smaller. He's inside the tunnel, and he's shooting through it. And once he's inside, it's very disorienting because the clouds are moving in a circular motion, counterclockwise, and they're coming closer into the plane, right to the tips of the wings, and suddenly all the electronic equipment is out. Nothing is working. He's got 2 or 3 compasses. None of them are working. The radio's out, and he shoots through the other side of the tunnel, and now it's no longer blue sky, but this kind of milky yellow sky, and like a fog. And he's flying through this fog, and as he leaves that tunnel, they experience weightlessness, where if they didn't have seatbelts on, they would have floated right up to the roof of the cabin. And that lasted for about 10 seconds, and then they came back down into their seats. The radio came back on, and they were able to contact the Miami Tower. And they said, can you see us on the radar? We should be near Bimini right now. And the tower reported back, no, there's nobody out there. There's no planes between here and Bimini. And so his father, who also pilots, gets very upset, grabs the microphone, and is screaming at him because he's very upset by what just happened. It's a brand new plane with all the top electronic equipment, and then suddenly they notice they can see like an island below them, and this fog they were in breaks up, and they look down, and then the tower comes back on and says, okay, we see a plane coming right over Miami Beach right now. And they said, oh, this can't be us because we're 100 miles away. And then they realized that they just reached the Florida coast. And so it's like they had moved, were teleported like 100 miles instantaneously. And it's this experience just affected Bruce's life. This happened when he was like 21 years old in 1971, and it's he thinks about it every day because it was such an unusual experience. And he's come to one of the aspects about this fog was when they were talking to the tower about the weather. They said it's perfectly clear, and they said no, we've been flying through clouds continuously now for several minutes, 20 minutes or so, and he said, and the weather, the radar shows no clouds at all out there, just small bits of cloud, no huge massive clouds. So he eventually came up with this idea that what they experienced was what he calls electronic fog, that this cloud had actually attached to the airplane, so maybe it was like a quarter mile around the airplane, and the fog was moving with them. And so Bruce has been on all these various cable shows over the years about the Bermuda Triangle. If you ever see any cable show about the Bermuda Triangle, Bruce is usually there, and often at the end, because he is one person who experienced the Bermuda Triangle phenomenon and lived to tell about it. So it's a fascinating story. And he, for many years, he didn't want to talk about the UFO connection because he didn't want to be ridiculed as a UFO nut. But deep down, he knew there's connection. And now, finally, he's come around to believing that what they experienced was like an interdimensional portal, probably where UFOs move between dimensions, and what they saw in that cloud was a UFO within that cloud that was either arriving or leaving, and that's caused the effect of that strange journey they had.
What does the U.S. government know about UFOs? What are they hiding? They must be hiding something.
Well, interestingly, this goes right back to where Bruce was coming from. Andros island is there's a secret Navy base out there. It's called AUTEC. AUTEC is the Atlantic Undersea Test and Evaluation Center. And like most of the base is actually underwater in the tongue of the ocean, which goes down 6,000 feet. And this is also known by some people as the underwater Area 51 because of sightings of crafts that come from the that go under the water, come from the air into the water and out again, and possibly very large crafts as well. I talked to a couple people who had unusual experiences who worked for AUTEC as civilians. The military people are pretty closed-mouthed about anything related to UFOs taking place there, but these civilians I talked to, and I included in the book Aliens in the Backyard, their experiences. One of them was in a submarine out in the tongue of the ocean where it's 6,000 feet, and on the radar about 3 miles in front of them there's an island that might be a couple miles across, and they're looking at it, there's no possible way there's an island out here, and they're moving closer and closer to it, and then it just vanishes from the radar. Now radar only picks up the what's right near the surface, and so whatever this was sank. And there wasn't anything wrong with radar either because I had it fully checked out the next day and it was working perfectly. And so this man, Kurt Roulette, he actually had 2 such experiences where they encountered something huge, a mile, 2 miles across, almost like islands that vanished, that just dropped down. And the third, the other guy that I talked to, he was working out on a boat retrieving torpedoes, because this is sort of what they're known for doing, is experimenting with torpedoes. Now, I think it's a cover. I think that's only part of what they're doing out there, because, I mean, when was the last time the U.S. government military used a torpedo in an act of war? I checked it out. It was the Korean War.
Way back.
You know, yeah, 60, 70 years ago. And so what are they doing, spending all this money out there testing torpedoes for? There's more going on than just torpedoes. But anyhow, they do some work with torpedoes, and he was collecting the torpedoes that had been shot on a boat. He was standing at the rack on the back. He is going to going to pick one up when he sees what looks like a pipeline or something, and they're way out. And he said, "There's no way there's a pipeline out here," but it was too wide to be a torpedo, and not as wide as a submarine, which are the 2 things that he was familiar with out there, and it's coming up right underneath the boat, and he starts to see that there's something more to it than just this tubing, like a pipeline. But it's like what he's seeing is a craft, like a UFO, that's coming up vertically, and he's seeing the edge of it, and it rises up, and then it's like it notices the boat on top of them, and then it just sinks right down out of sight. And so he couldn't talk about that for years, because it was he was everything. He had top clearance, and he wasn't supposed to say anything, talk about anything that he saw. But after years, he recognized that. He thought maybe at first that it was some kind of experimental craft, but he realized that nothing like that has ever been made public over the years. And usually, these experimental crafts will become known eventually. So he thinks that it was a UFO, unidentified submerged object, USO actually.
Like underwater, inter UFOs. There's a word for it.
USOs, underwater. Yeah,
There's a word for it. They're in the earth, underwater, the UFOs.
Right. Yeah.
You may be submerged.
Right, submerged. I think unidentified submerged object, USO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You got it. Is there a difference between ghosts, aliens, and spirits, in your views?
Yeah, a ghost basically can be almost like an energy form that is just recurring over and over, like on a loop, that people might see over and over again, and it's like a shell energy. That's one type of ghost. Another type of ghost is, I had just written about this in a book that came out around Halloween called Bump in the Night.
Yes.
Spirits, Ghosts, and Aliens Encounters. Another type of ghost is would be a dead person who is stuck between dimensions, who hasn't accepted the fact that he or she is dead, and isn't ready to move on yet, and may think they're still alive, and they see you, they think that you're the ghost. So that's another type of ghost. For spirits, by definition, spirits is more like a guide, a spirit guide, could be a deceased relative who is helping out in some way, or an angelic being, a higher being that serves as a guide. And then aliens, I think it's interesting because there's a lot of stories that are starting to come out now about people who've been abducted and have seen not only the alien being, like a gray with a small being with a large head and huge teardrop-shaped eyes,
yeah,
but also a dead person with this, somebody who they know. And so there's the question then, how maybe these beings exist in a way and move in a way that they're that the dead to them do not seem dead, but in another dimension, which they also move in. That's one explanation of these experiences where people see the dead with aliens. Another one is that it possibly could be a shapeshifted alien that is shapeshifted, hold this image out of your mind of a loved one who's passed on, and appears as that person as a way of calming you. It's not necessarily a calming experience to see your dead grandfather with an alien, but that is another explanation. And I'm pretty sure this is something that does happen, because one of the persons we wrote about in Aliens in the Backyard was a lifelong abductee, and one of the times that she was abducted was after she had gone to a rock concert, and she had come, maybe it was on the drive, possibly, where she was abducted, but anyhow, she was taken by these beings and brought to this ship, and there with these grays is the lead singer in the rock band.
What?
She'd just seen, and she says, "What's he doing here?" And they communicated to her telepathically. They said, "We thought you liked him," and she's very. They realize that she's very upset, and then the image just shifts into another gray.
Do you know which rock star this was?
You know, people have asked me that before, and I've never checked it out with her. I have to find out who that was that she saw, because she didn't tell me when we heard that story.
It's like, wow, you know, you see this rock group, Rockstar, and he's in it too. Like, it makes you think maybe he's an alien himself also.
Right? Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty, very fascinating. Have you had any experience with the MIBs, Men in Black?
Yeah, in fact, yeah, hang on a second.
Yep.
Just getting a swallow of water.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so this goes back a bit to the late 80s when we were working for Omni Magazine. We had interviewed Bud Hopkins at a UFO convention in South Florida, and one of the things that happened is he was on a radio show talking about the abduction phenomena and missing time. The book Missing Time had just come out in the past year, his first book about abductions and missing time. And so he was talking on a radio station, and he got some people calling in, and one woman was very upset, and she said, "What you're talking about, this abduction experience, this has happened to me, and I'm very upset by what you're saying. It's because it's so familiar to me." So he decided he wanted to meet her and hypnotic her, but he was, he didn't have a rental car or anything. He'd just taken a taxi from the airport to the convention, and so we had interviewed him, and we said, "Well, we'll drive you there. Be a good story." So we drove up to Lake Worth, which was probably about 40 miles or so from the where the convention was held in Hollywood, Florida. And so we met this couple, and she told us her story about how she had been had these abduction experiences where she was taken into a craft, but she didn't have much details and didn't have any much recollection of what happened, but she was very interested in finding out more. So Bud did hypnotic regression with her, took her through the whole experience. It was really fascinating watching him do this and listening to her story. In the story, she was lifted, her husband was in the bed next to her, but she was lifted out of the bed and floated down the hall and actually right through the wall of their house. And she's with, I think, 2 or 3 of these grays that are moving with her, and they take her right through the wall as if it wasn't solid anymore.
So they were able to, like, okay, I understand them going through the wall, but they were able to make her body go also through the wall.
Her body also went through the wall.
Wow.
Which is really fascinating, how they have that ability to manipulate matter like that. And then it was like they come to a tube that is right in her backyard, and there's a craft up above, and they step into this tube, and it's like an elevator. They're just rising up, and she can see the South Florida landscape around her as she's rising up. And this was back in the day when the National Enquirer was located in Lantana, Florida, which is very close to where she was living. And as she went, and this is Christmas time, and what the National Enquirer used to do was they would have a huge Christmas tree and a big display, and people would come there and visit it every Christmas. And and it was also at the time where this was the only publication that was featuring a lot of UFO stories. You really didn't read about them anywhere else other than National Enquirer and a couple other tabloids. And so anyhow, as they're rising up, she sees the Christmas tree, and she points to it, and for the aliens, and Bud asks, well, what was their reaction? She says, they don't seem very impressed at all. So that was a story we used, we wrote about in Omni in one of our articles. So anyhow, so we got to know her and her husband after this experience, and so one day we invited them over to our house for dinner with a few other people, and all these other people were involved in the psychic field in one way or another. A couple of them were mediums. So it was kind of an interesting mix of people. And we stayed up late, and we were in our living room, and it was about 1 o'clock in the morning when I happened to look out the sliding glass doors of our townhouse, and there's somebody standing there staring at us dressed in black. And I'm like stunned.
Oh no.
And I say there's I said, look, there's somebody there, and as soon as everybody looked, the person starts backing away, and so we ran to the door, and I slid open the door. This person, could have easily just slipped away into the night and disappeared, but he didn't. What he was doing is he crouched down and ran between cars in the parking lot and looked back at us, and one car to another and looking back. It was very strange. I mean, he could have just vanished very quickly, but he didn't. It was like he wanted to make a display that, yeah, he was watching us. And so Trish called the police, and the reaction was astonishing, because within 5 minutes there were like 8 cop cars come roaring into the development, and they're looking for this guy. And so we finally talked to one of the cops, and what's going on? How did you get here so fast? And it turned out there was a murder less than a mile away, and they were out hunting for this murder, and they thought that maybe this was the guy, so they had responded really quickly, but they never found him. It was just very mysterious, kind of a synchronicity, because we've been talking about Men in Black when we saw this guy.
Because yeah, and I don't think we want to meet the Men in Black. Can we trust the Greys?
Can we trust them?
The Greys, yeah, the Grey aliens.
Yeah.
Do you think we could trust them? Yeah, if we could trust them.
No.
Okay, evil incarnate, evil.
Why are they abducting people? I mean, they're in the UFO field. It's kind of divided into the people who think the alien presence is beneficial, and those who think it is something else, some evil, or that they're attempting in one way or another to take over the planet, to they create a hybrid race.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, a hybrid race.
Right, and then bring those the hybrids back into the world, and possibly changing the world around completely. And so I'm always astonished when people look at it in such black and white terms, that they're either evil or they're beneficial and they're helping us. They want to move us to a new world where we get rid of our dependency on oil and use a free energy. And so I hear these stories, and oftentimes the people who see the beneficial side are blinded to this other side about, if you ask those people, what about these abductions by these Greys? And their response sometimes is that it's a trick. It's something that the military is doing to us. So, you know.
Yeah.
And then the other side is the people who see the evil side. You know, some of them see that, you know, don't trust anybody who might be an alien. They can't be trusted. But I think I think there's variations. It's just like people. People are not all good or all evil. You know, there's variations in all humans, and I think with these different races of beings that might be here, seem to be here, that there may be some that want to help, but they don't want to interfere as well, and some may be neutral and here for some particular purpose, and others who are you know, just here for their own benefit and don't give a damn what happened to us, or maybe even worse, that they'd like to get rid of us and take over the planet. So I think there's the whole range, and I think there's like probably this cosmic war going on between these different groups that's happening at a higher level of existence, and you know, and that they've kind of balanced off each other but at the same time, this is happening in a realm that, you know, is invisible to us in the everyday world.
Exactly. Do you think there'll be a great deception?
There'll be a what?
A great deception by the U.S. government one day. There'll be disclosure.
Yeah, disclosure. You know, that I think that there's a lot of agencies, intelligence agencies, that have little bits of the picture, and they may be also interested in finding out what other agencies know, and they're very protective of their own information. And so, you know, I don't know if there's anybody in the government who has the whole picture, and certainly not the president. It seems like, you know, the president is, in terms of alien contact and knowledge of the alien events, is just a figurehead, basically, who may just be told a bunch of lies, basically, by people who might know what's going on. But like I said, I don't think there may be a small, actually, let me say, there may be a small group of people who do know, but I think they would be like people who are outside of the government.
Above the government, above the president, above top secret, like maybe 34 levels or something, a big level like that, you know?
Right, yeah, and that they're outside, they're not employees of the CIA or the NSA, but they have connections in the government, but they're outside of the government. So it's like the information has been outsourced. Maybe one time, like when Eisenhower was president, there was more known, but then it was outsourced to some group, and they're the ones who are holding the key.
Have you heard of the Black-Eyed Kids?
I have, yeah. I don't know much about them, but I've heard something about them. They're like possibly hybrids, and they're very intelligent children.
Yes, and they always want to come in your house. Like they say, "Please, sir, let me in." And if you let them in, well, I don't know. You could. I don't know what happens, but it's like bad things do happen to people who meet Black-Eyed Kids. In fact, I know someone who's met them back in 1998, and it wasn't very good.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't good at all, you know. Yeah, exactly. Are you able to tell us about the myths and legends like trolls, fairies, and mermaids? Do these creatures exist?
Yeah. Well, there in different cultures. There's different stories of beings that are exist as legends and myths, and maybe there is some reality and some truth in these stories, but some of them are really wild. Like in Bump in the Night, I was writing about some of these. The Jikaninki of Japan. These are hungry ghosts that have an insatiable appetite for corpses.
Ooh,
And
okay.
and then in Eastern Europe, there's the Leshy, Leshy, and they hate humans but prefer bears. And they can mimic the voice of your family or friends and lead you into a cave where they will, believe it or not, tickle you to death.
Tickle you to death? What in the world? That's something I've never heard of before.
It's possible to escape them by turning your clothes inside out and wearing your shoes on the wrong feet. That's the story.
But then, how in the heck can you run with your shoes on the wrong foot? You could break your leg or something.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a very strange one, the Leshy. And the one that interests me of these stories is the Chikarni. These are legendary or mythical creatures that exist on Andros Island, and their feet in the Bahamas. They're 3 feet tall, and they're bird-like creatures resembling owls, and they live in the forest. And islanders believe that encounters with them can bring either good or bad luck, and depending on how you act. But if you combine this owl-like creature, 3 feet tall or so, which is huge for an owl, and it's short for a human, it's kind of remindful of the gray aliens. And then you combine that fact with Andros Island is the home of what I was talking about, the secret Navy base called AUTEC, sometimes known as Underwater Area 51. So, I'm wondering if there may be some truth to this story, that what people are seeing, the Chikarni might actually be graves they're encountering. That's a interesting story. So here's another story about AUTEC and Andros Island. I was invited to Bruce and I, Bruce Gernon, who had the experience in the Bermuda Triangle, were invited to appear on UFO Hunters, and we were flown to Andros Island for the show, where they were interviewing a lot of people about this secret base and about the Bermuda Triangle. And the day that Bruce and I were interviewed, they decided that these 3 guys who were the main figures, the characters in the show UFO Hunters, decided that they wanted to try to get into the base. And the producers had made numerous contacts, telephone calls, emails, and saying they wanted to get into the base to interview the commander of the base. And not only did they not get rejected, they never even got an answer, no reply at all. So we decided that we were going to go to the base. And so we drove over in this Jeep to near the entrance and stopped, and then got all the cameras out, and we were going to walk up there. But as soon as we did this, suddenly these 2 police cars arrived, and they stop right at the gate, but they're not pointing at the gate, but they're across the gate, like they're blocking the gate. And then these black helicopters show up, and they're hovering over us. It's really noisy. Got these cop cars and black helicopters, and we decided, I don't think we're going to get anywhere.
Not at all.
So we backed off and just left. They weren't able to get into the base. But here's the interesting synchronicity of this story. 4 months later, Trish and I are in Sarasota, Florida, on the west coast of Florida. So Andros is in the Bahamas, obviously off the east coast of Florida. We're in Sarasota. We're helping our daughter move. She was in college, move into her dorm. And so one night we decided to go to this bar. It's where they have live music, and it's kind of half indoors, half outdoors. And it was like Friday night. It was really crowded. music was loud and playing blues and old rock and roll. And so we come in there, and it's we're looking around for some place to sit. And there's a high top table with 2 seats open, and the other side was occupied. And we asked the people to sit there, and they said sure. So we're sitting there, and the musicians take a break. So we start talking to these people, and this is amazing. It turns out the person across from me was the commander of OPTEC, who had just recently retired. But in April, like 4 months earlier, he was there, the commander of OPTEC, the one we were trying to get in to see it. And now I'm sitting at a bar talking to this guy.
Oh my!
So it's an astonishing synchronicity, and he's very interested in hearing about UFO hunters and what we were doing there, you know. And I told him, well, there's this theory that you're dealing with aliens there. And he looks at his girlfriend he was with, and he said, "I need another martini, honey." and so he gave it. He was pretty open, but he did not want to say too much about the alien. He was very interested in hearing what we had to say, but he would not say that they're dealing with UFOs or aliens. But it was obviously he knew something. But it was he was friendly, but he wasn't really. His tongue didn't get too loose, but it was just a fascinating experience we had there, and so unusual to come across and meet the guy that we had been looking for.
and what a way that happens. Now that's synchronicity.
Definitely, so it doesn't always have to happen immediately. That's like a 4-month difference in time, but yet it's very synchronous because of that experience with UFO hunters, and then suddenly meeting the guy who, he says he's just retired from the military, and I said, where were you stationed? He said, I was the commander of OPTEC. Wow.
Ooh, wow. Have you ever been to near or at Area 51?
I never have. No, I've never gone out looking for Area 51. Have you?
No, not at all. No, I'm in Montreal, Canada. So that's in Canada. Pardon?
What about Montreal?
No, that's where I'm based.
Oh, you're based in Montreal?
Yes, I am.
Okay, because the Aliens in the Backyard. This book came about because of an experience of a Quebecois man.
Quebecois man, really? Oh, yeah?
Yeah, who lives outside of Montreal, and he works in Montreal at an aeronautical engineering company. And he is like a conservative Catholic man in his family, and previously he had no really interest in UFOs, and he didn't really believe in UFOs because he thought, well, they were just something that is in American movies and television.
Science fiction.
If there really were UFOs, the U.S. Army, the military, would have told us by now, he thought. And to me, that's a very naive position to take. But like I said, it wasn't really a subject he was interested in. But then he had this experience that changed his whole life. I mean, so the name he didn't want his name used because his correct name used. So we call him Charles Fontaine because of he could get fired from his job if this whole story came out. So Charles and his wife, Helene, they had never thought much about UFOs, but one morning, it was late in March 2011, and their dog jumped up on the bed at 3 a.m. and started growling and barking and wouldn't get down. This is really unusual behavior for this little dog. They finally calmed the dog down, went back to sleep. But Charles, he got up at 5 a.m., which is his usual time because he drives from the countryside to the city where he worked, and he took his daughter to college. So typically he would let Spot, the dog's name is actually Spot, took the dog out the back door to do his business in the morning. But on this morning, the dog refused to go outside. So he pushes him out. He nudges him with his foot and then steps outside. And as he steps outside, he notices these odd lights in the field behind the house. They're shaped like inverted ice cream cones, and it looks as if there's energy rising from rising up the tubes of light. And he counted 9 of them. But he couldn't see what was above them. It was like some black object up there. There was no lights in it, and there was something that was above these tubes. And so he's standing there mesmerized by these lights and this energy inside them. And for 2-3 minutes, then he goes in and wakes up his wife, and says, you've got to see this. And so she came out, saw the lights, and they seem to be moving closer across the field. And then Charles sees a different sort of light that's right in the backyard, and it's like a vertical rotating band of lights with luminous blue O-shaped like O-rings that are moving inside the band, and it's coming closer. It's coming right between this willow tree and the house, coming right towards them. And that's when he saw it was some kind of a craft. It was a gray metallic structure, and he realized it was like saucer shaped, but it was moving vertically rather than horizontally, coming right in. And when he saw this, I mean, it was only like 30, 40 feet away. He turns to get the dog and pick up the dog, and he noticed the dog is surrounded in a gold light, and that's the last thing he remembered. And the next thing he realizes he's taking a shower.
Oh.
And he doesn't know how he got there, what happened, and it was just like
missing time.
Everything went blank, and his wife is sleeping in bed. But yet, it's not a situation of missing time either, because it's almost like it was the opposite, compressed time, because he still had time to get to work and take his daughter to school and arrive in time. But after that, his life just really, really changed. I mean, he did not know what happened to him, and it just he got very almost suicidal. I mean, he would just break down. He'd close the door of his office and just break down in tears. I mean, his whole worldview had changed because of this. And so, then it's just like he wanted to. That first day he came home, and there's the farmer is always up at early in the morning, who has that field where these lights were. So he went over and asked the farmer if he had seen anything unusual that morning, and the farmer kind of looks at him and he says, like what? And he said, well, maybe it was just some kids on snowmobiles or something. And I wasn't, he didn't want to say he saw UFOs behind the house in the field. So then he goes to his next door neighbor on the other side, the closest one to him, and he knocks on the door and asks the man the same question, because they also go into Montreal to work, and they were getting up. They get up early too, and he said, "Did you see anything in the backyard early this morning?" He said, "No." Well, the husband said, "No, he didn't. He didn't look." And then his wife had overheard their conversation. She was in the kitchen. She says, Charles, did you see a UFO? And he's kind of stunned because he hadn't mentioned anything like that. And she said, you saw a UFO, didn't you? I know you did. And he said, why did you say that? She said, because my cousin called me, and this man I don't know very well. I haven't had much contact with him. He's a weirdo. He's a medium, and he called me 2 weeks ago and said, you're going, if you keep your eyes open, you're going to see a UFO in your backyard. and you're the one who saw it, Charles. So that was one of several different unusual experiences that happened to him afterwards. What he also noticed the next day that something was wrong with the dog. It was really favoring one of its paws, and so he rushed the dog to the vet, and the vet looked at the paw and said, "There's a number of things that could be causing this, and it could even be something that's happened to the dog's neck that would affect its paws," which seemed like an unusual thing for the vet to say. So he goes home, and the neighbor, the neighbor woman, calls him and says, "I just talked to my cousin, the weirdo, and he wants to talk to you right now." And so Charles calls the number she gives him, and the man says, "How's your dog? There's something wrong with your dog. They took your dog, and they did something. They put an implant in the dog's neck."
Oh my gosh!
So
an implant.
So that's one of these strange synchronicities that happened to this guy after this experience. And so another one is just how he encountered how he met me, and how this whole book came about, because his story was the central story, the basis of this book to get started. Then I gathered other stories, but his story was so intriguing to me. We have a synchronicity blog, and I wrote about his story in like 9 different blog posts over a couple of weeks. But anyhow, after this, he was having all these synchronicities. Like those neighbors, he would, no matter where he would go, he would see those neighbors, and he said he rarely ever saw those neighbors, even though they were the closest neighbors to him. He would never see them. Now he would go to a restaurant 15 miles away from town, or he'd go to a shop, and there they would be, and it was just crazy, and other things were happening to him. So he went to a bookstore in Montreal, and he said he rarely goes to bookstores because his job is all involved in reading technical matters, and so when he comes home, he just wants to relax and watch television or something and not read books. But he went into this bookstore, and he only picked up one book, and the book is the French edition of The 7 Secrets of Synchronicity, and that Trish and I wrote. And so he takes it home and starts reading it, and then he decides to Google the term synchronicity and UFOs. And what comes up is this image of lights shooting down in this field behind, in this field from a craft up above, and it looks very similar to what he saw. And so it was this image was on a blog, and he wanted to find out more about it. He looked, and he was astonished to see that the blog is by Trish and I, and he's reading our book, and he just stumbled by using synchronicity and UFO. He comes right to our blog and sees this image that's very similar to what he saw. So he knew he had to contact us and tell us his story. So that's how this whole thing started. You can see the synchronicities involved.
Unreal. It's unreal, and it's just unreal that these things happen. I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Before we end the show. One of my guests keeps saying, "Are you going to ask this question?" I said, "Sure." Is the White House haunted? Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, we're going all over here, aren't we?
Yeah, we're supposed to, well, it's okay, 15 minutes, it's okay.
Yeah, it is. Abraham Lincoln has been seen a number of times, and in my book, Bump in the Night, it has several stories from the White House in the chapter on haunted houses, and Winston Churchill was once stayed in the Lincoln room. I think it's called the Lincoln room. Well, it's the Lincoln's bedroom, and he had just taken a bath, and he had a cigar, and he was in a robe, and he just comes out into the room, and there's Lincoln in his top hat. Astonished. You know, he just was floored, and then he just vanished. And there's several other people who have seen Lincoln. He's the most popular one, and during his life, his wife was very into mysticism, and it's believed that she held seances in the White House. And Andrew Jackson was another one who has been seen in the White House. And probably the last official or last story I heard about anybody seeing a ghost was during George Bush's era time in office. His two daughters had a ghostly experience in the White House. One of the they had, I think, adjoining bedrooms, and one of the daughters heard this music coming out of the fireplace, and so she ran and got her sister, and they both were there, and they didn't, you know, it was like this ethereal music, and they didn't know where it was coming from, and so yeah, the White House is definitely a haunted place.
Wow, that's fascinating. It's too bad we've got to go, but we've got to get you back on the show because you've got so much information. We could go on and on and on.
I know, there's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff.
My voice, though.
Pardon?
I'm losing my voice, though.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, exactly. So we don't want that to happen. So we want to thank you, Rob Macgregor, for coming on the MnRTV live show. And when this show's up, I'll send you a link. It's going to be on YouTube, and you could, like, you know, put it everywhere, listen to it, or whatever you want to do with it.
Okay, and it's a synchronicity, Robert, that you're in Montreal, and you know, this whole alien stuff started with a story coming from Montreal.
Exactly, oh, for sure, you know. And I heard on, yeah, you were on Coast to Coast also, you know, and now I find out you're in Montreal. Like, you haven't been in Montreal, have you?
I haven't been there, no.
Okay, well, at least there's a connection between us, you know, so you'll definitely have to come back on the show.
Sounds good.
All right, so thank you very much.
Robert.
All right, so have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Wow, what a... This is synchronicity, isn't it, Mario?
Yes, a very interesting show, and that's his website, and I'll put it down in the description of the video when it's complete. It'll be there along with all the other links and everything else out there. It was very interesting. I'm glad. I'm Rob. I have to tell you, I'm very happy we got him because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of information.
And there's a lot of more stuff we could have asked, you know, but we have time constraints, and he's losing his voice, and you know, but there's always next year, you know, we'll get him back. And speaking of next year, this is the last show of the year.
Yes, that's it for the year. 2013 is over. I mean, oops, 2014. 2014. So much. You know what it is? The year went by so fast.
That's I know, and a lot of stuff
I can't catch up. I can't catch up. If I blink and open up, what are we? 2015 already? You know?
I just remember when we started doing this stuff in 2012.
Maybe it's synchronicity. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, synchronicity, exactly. But you know, we'll be back, I believe, January 7th, around then. Yeah, so yeah, we want to wish all you guys, our viewers, have a happy and safe holiday. God bless you all, and we'll be back next year with a lot more information, guests, and a lot of information for you guys out there.
In the meantime, what anybody else could do out there, you could watch this show and watch our older shows, you know, and get caught up and see what we're about. And even I'm losing my voice now, and I didn't do much talking, so I understand what our guests and me. If it's up to me, I do 3 hours, 4 hours of this show, but I can't. But anyhow, thanks for watching. We'll be seeing you in the new year. I hope you guys have all the greatest, the best holidays ever, that you're healthy, because that's what counts. That's the greatest gift ever, is that you're healthy. That's all we're asking for, and that you'll be back next year to watch more, because we'll be back if nothing happens to us. If
That's right, God willing.
But anyways, that's it. You see, now I'm getting carried away. But thank you for watching, and we'll be back.
Yes, sir.